A lot of times I find that I hear people say this, and I know you do too. They say, I can't believe this happened to me. Right? I can't believe this happened to me. Why me? Mm-hmm. You ever hear anybody say that?
Well, yeah. And especially when something happens that you generally feel is not your fault.
It's true.
So it's like, to no fault of my own, why is this happening? Right?
That's so true. Probably even more so then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But here's the twist, right? Here's what we're talking about in terms of self-talk. If we can say to ourselves, man, I wonder why this happened for me. Hey, what's up, Self-Talk Experience family? Listen, I thought I was going to get some bathrooms renovated, but I had no idea when I connected with my man, Stan Neal, that it would be more than a renovation. I'm not even sure what the term should be. Maybe transformation, because I started with the bathrooms and all of a sudden my entire basement was redone in a way that my family members thought I moved. Seriously. So if you're looking to take your house to the next level, whether it's some custom construction, some transformation of your bedroom, your bathrooms, your family room, your great room, I did it all. I mean, if I showed you my entire house before and after pictures, in fact, I'm going to show you some, you would say, no way is that the same room or the same house. Listen, I'm just saying this because I've got personal experience with this gentleman. So you want to connect with him, I'm going to give you the number, his office number to reach him, as well as email. And again, you will not be disappointed. So if you want to reach him via his office number, 202-359-3923. Again, 202-359-3923. And email is Stan, Stan.nealjr, Nealjr, at freshairllc.com. Connect with my man Stan. You won't be disappointed.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven and family-focused and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Another episode of the Self-Talk Experience. Welcome. Hey, listen, I'm so excited about this podcast that focuses on our self-talk. You know, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In this episode, we want to talk about connecting the dots. You remember that game?
Yes, connecting the dots. So I remember that game. You draw a line, then another person draws a line, then another person draws a line. And whoever makes the box puts their initials in the box, and then you keep going. And whoever has
That's
the
not
most
the game I'm talking about. I don't even know what that game is.
Yes, you do. I played that with you before.
No, I've never played that game. This is my wife for 27 years. I've never, ever played that game with her. So who did you play that game with?
That was somebody else.
That's the next episode. I'm going to bring this back up. Y'all tune in. I'm going to bring that back up. I'm talking about the game where there was like a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and then by the time you connected all of the numbers.
There's a picture.
There's a picture. That's the game I'm talking about.
I do remember that. We did that at school a lot.
Right, and I didn't play that game with you either. That was back when I was in elementary school. I didn't even know you. But you know the game.
I do.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So it's called Connect the Dots. That's what we're going to talk about today. But first, let's talk about a fact when it comes to self-talk. Did you know researchers found that it's not just what we say to ourselves, it's the language we choose when we say it that makes it even more impactful?
The language we use.
Yeah. So you have first person, second person, third person,
okay,
right?
Okay.
So first person is I, me, but third person is he, she, and then your name. Correct. Mm-hmm. So I do that too. I thought about it when I read this. I thought, I do this. Like if I'm working out, I'm like, RID, lightweight, right? Or athletes do it, right? When they're mad at themselves for missing or messing up a play,
right?
They'll say, come on, Malik, man, you better. They're talking to themselves.
So wait, so you're saying that it helps when you say she or he?
I mean, I've never done that, but that's what the research
So that would be like me saying, she's going to kill it today. Sounds weird, but so what does that language do for you though when you do talk to yourself in that manner?
Yeah, it says that it gives you a pause and makes it more objective instead of subjective.
Interesting.
It's weird. Yeah.
Wow.
But I thought about it. I'm like, oh, I do that.
Yes.
And I see a lot of professional athletes, those who perform at a high level, do it. You know what I mean? Those who win weightlifting competitions, bodybuilding competitions. So a lot of folks who achieve high levels of success, they do it. So, hey, look, must work.
I think when I talk to myself, I say you. I say, you can do this. You have it under control.
Interesting.
I don't say my name.
Maybe you should start.
Maybe I should start.
Yeah. See if you run further, because you run. See if you run further when you say Tracy. Come on, Tracy, you got this.
Okay, I'm going to test that out. That's
okay, good.
That's
we'll come back and let you guys know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
you guys
interesting.
let us know too.
That's interesting.
All right, yeah. So today let's talk about connecting the dots, because the reason why we decided to do this self-talk podcast, as you know, is because it's helped to reshape our entire lives. Because we reshaped our self-talk. And this is why I know anybody listening or watching this podcast has an opportunity to reshape everything. We reshaped the relationship we have with each other. We reshaped the relationships we've had with other people. We have with other people. Our financial lives are much better, right?
Yes.
It's much better.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm excited, because I know that somebody's like, man, if I could just figure out how to attract different things in my life, and they may be overthinking it, right? I've taken the course, I've paid the money to learn from this mentor, but unfortunately, they still have these self-defeating thoughts after the class, after the course.
That you said that, because I feel like I'm an overthinker, and it pauses you and stops you sometimes, and you never get back to it.
Yeah.
Because you're just thinking, what if not?
Yep.
Maybe so. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
realize that I do that.
Yeah. And it's, the great thing is we're growing as the audience is growing, right? So in terms of becoming better, like I'm better this month than I was last month, because I continue to work on the things and apply the things that I've learned.
Right.
And that's what we're really attempting to share with the audience, right? So we're excited, because a lot of times I find that I hear people say this, and I know you do too. They say, I can't believe this happened to me. Right? I can't believe this happened to me. Why me? You ever hear anybody say that?
Well, yeah. And especially when something happens that you generally feel is not your fault.
It's true.
So it's like, to no fault of my own, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Right?
That's so true. Probably even more so then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But here's the twist, right? Here's what we're talking about in terms of self-talk. If we can say to ourselves, man, I wonder why this happened for me.
That's hard to do, though, because, for instance, if I'm in a car accident and I know it wasn't my fault, how do you change your mind to think of it in that way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you were hurt, or financially it is a challenge for you because of that. How do you...
It doesn't happen right away typically, right? So until you start seeing evidence in your life or someone else's life that the incident that happened wasn't about the incident itself, but it led to something else, that if that didn't happen, this other thing wouldn't have happened. And so when you have evidence that that is the case, then you start realizing that, oh my gosh, so this thing here could be shutting the door in this particular area of my life, because I wouldn't have looked for the open door if this one was still open. So that door had to shut. That thing had to happen to keep you at home, to cause you to start looking at other things, so that you could actually see the other door that was always available, was always open.
But that's not easy, because it doesn't always happen right away.
That's my point.
You could have the light bulb moment the next day, or it could be years.
Exactly. But look, remember the game. This is what we started with. Check this out. Remember the game. So we talked about 1, 2, then you connected to 3 and 4. You don't always see what the picture is after the 3rd dot, 5th dot. Sometimes it's like the 16th dot.
Right.
And you're like, I'm starting to see it. I think this is a whatever that is.
Right.
So sometimes it's multiple things. I'm just going to give one example, because I know you're going to relate to this.
Okay.
Right? You may have heard me share this before, so just chime in whatever you want.
Okay.
I know you will. I don't even know why I asked you. So look, when I was growing up, I, as an only child, I was labeled an introvert. Right? So my mom worried about me, get out.
Which is hard to believe now.
I know. I know. So she said, you got to make more friends. So she made me join the junior usher board at church.
Okay.
And do not say anything about the junior usher board because I know you want to so badly. So we got to get through this, connecting the dots. All right. So I joined the junior usher board.
What is the incident that you remember the most about the junior usher board? I'm just asking a question.
We're not going to talk about that right now.
Okay. Go on with your story. So we're connecting the dots.
What she's trying to get to is that the junior usher board is where I first was introduced to marijuana. Now, I didn't smoke it. I promise you I didn't. I'm not, listen.
I just think it's ironic that your mom wanted you to make friends and join the junior usher board, and then that happened. Does your mom know that story?
She knows now. So
I'm so sorry, Mom.
Okay, so anyway, that's not even a point of connecting the dots. Well, that could be a dot.
It could be.
But let's keep moving. So join the junior usher board. And of course, as an usher, I learned how to serve, right? Because you show people where the empty seat is in church. And if it was raining, I held the umbrella to walk the elderly out to their car. Bake sales, I was the one making sure that everyone got a food on their plate.
Yes.
So I learned how to put other people first. I didn't even realize that at the time.
So not realizing that was one of your dots.
That's correct. Until later. And here's how it happened. Because this rap group came out called Run DMC.
Yeah, Run DMC.
And they wore Adidas sweatsuits in their music videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to get an Adidas sweatsuit. So I asked my mom and dad for an Adidas sweatsuit. My dad went and bought me a sweatsuit for Christmas. I'll never forget it. When I unwrapped it and rolled the sleeves out, it was 4 stripes on the sleeve. It was not 3. I'm like, this is not Adidas, Dad. He's like, I know, but it's just like it. I'm like, no. And of course, I went to public school. So, I was excited about wearing this sweatsuit.
You didn't have to wear a uniform.
Exactly.
Right.
It was the worst day in high school. So
did you wear it?
My mom made me. I was like, Mom,
why
help
did
me.
you wear it? Babe, I know this story, but I didn't know you actually wore the sweatsuit.
I felt bad. But my mom was like, babe, your dad spent his money for it. You should wear it.
Did they get you shoes too?
That's probably a dot too, being teased like that in school.
Oh, they teased you bad.
Yeah, they did.
I wouldn't have teased you.
I think I had real shell-toe Adidas.
So you had the shoe.
Yeah. That
made it worse. All or nothing. Just
can you let me finish
do
my
it or
story?
not do it. Okay, go ahead.
So look, check this out. So my mom said, if you want to wear designer clothes, you need to go work at a store where they sell designer clothes so you can get a discount. Okay. I'm like, okay. So I went to the store, filled out the application, and I'm walking out, and this guy, I'll never forget, his name is Mike Cunningham. And he's like, hey, he's looking at the application. I turn around, he says, Darnell? I said, yeah. He's like, when would you like to start? I'm like, as soon as possible. He said, I'm going to hire you. You know why? I said, no, sir. And I'm 16, going on 17 at the time.
Okay.
He turns the application over and he said, because on extracurricular activity, you put junior usher board. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't know anybody who's ever put junior usher board on a job application. And I was like, he's like, that says a lot about you. And I was like, oh, thank you, sir. So I got the job. But here's the funny thing. This is where I met you. At the retail store.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So if I hadn't been on the junior usher board, I wouldn't have gotten the job. If I hadn't have got the job, I wouldn't have been working at the store. When you walked by and looked in and saw me and was like, oh, that man is fine. That's what she said, y'all. So you know what happened at the mall, right?
The mall, I don't like talking about that story, babe.
So, but it's a dot, so it's important.
Okay, I know. Go ahead.
Okay, so this thief came into the store. And, we always dealt with shoplifters at the mall. Then this thief comes in and he's like, hey, look, I'm going to steal this coat. That's another level of thievery, right? When somebody tells you, I'm going to steal the coat. I'm like, dude, don't steal the coat. I got to call security. They're going to arrest you over a coat. And you know what happened. It was an altercation, right? The dude took my head, slammed it against the glass showcase. And he called back the next day, right? By the way, my assistant manager came up and started fighting the dude. It was bad.
Shout out to Rob Johnson. Thank you so much for having my husband's back.
He's not the same person anymore, but
we needed him to be that day.
Yeah, so it was bad.
So he calls back up to the store. Remember, I worked there.
Yeah.
He calls back up to the store. I answer the phone, and he says to me, the guy that works in the front that was fighting yesterday, after he gets off work, I'm going to shoot him.
No, he didn't. He said, I'm going to cap him.
Well,
I know.
I don't talk like that.
I know. Urban translation, shoot, he wasn't going to buy me a cap. But everybody.
Well, basically, he threatened your life.
Yeah.
And I answered the phone. So, of course, I am frantic. And the only thing I could think to do was call your mom.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that was the best thing to do.
I don't know why either.
I called your mom.
Yeah.
And what happened when you called your mom?
So Tracy says to me, hey, your mom's on the phone. And I'm like, okay. So I come up and my mom's like, hey, I need you to quit your job. Tracy told me what happened. I'm like, what? And she was like, oh, no. First she said, let us pray.
She did.
That was the first thing. She said, let us pray. And I'm like, Mom, I'm at work. She was like, that's okay.
But I love your mom because she's so calm.
Yeah.
I was so frantic, and she let me get it all out.
Yeah.
And she said, is my son there? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, okay, can I speak to him? She didn't
Right.
ask a lot of questions.
Right.
She was very calm. So I said, yes, ma'am. And I just said, your mom's on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about this, right? And let's just talk about connecting the dots here.
Sure.
So if I wasn't an introvert, because people are like, I wish I wasn't an introvert. I wish I was more talkative. I wish I could network better like that person. But if I wasn't an introvert, my mom wouldn't have told me, or at least suggested that I join the junior usher board. Mm-hmm. And if I wouldn't have joined the junior usher board, I wouldn't have been hired by Mike Cunningham at that particular retail store. But again, my mom had to say, I'm not going to buy you any designer clothes. My dad had to buy me a fake Adidas sweatsuit. So all those are dots too, right?
Right.
So that encouraged me to even get the job in the first place.
Right.
Right. But then the junior usher board allowed me to actually get hired. Mm-hmm. And then working at the mall allowed me to meet you. And a thief had to come in because I'm thinking, why in the world am I fighting?
Why is this happening?
Why is this happening to me?
To you. Mm-hmm.
Why is this happening to me? But think about this. If I hadn't gotten in the fight, not to say you have to get in a fight, but if that wouldn't have happened and he wouldn't have called the store and you wouldn't have answered and you had to be the only one that could answer.
I had to answer because no one else would have called your mom.
That's correct.
And your mom is the only person in the world that could say, I need you to quit your job right now. And you say, yes, ma'am.
That's correct. Any other cashier wouldn't have called my mom.
Wouldn't have called your mom.
And my mom had to be the one. That's the only one I can think of in this world that would say, babe, I need you to quit your job, and I quit.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody else I would quit for.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, Ma, I'll find another job.
Right.
So a lot of people think I quit because I became successful in business. Right. But I quit because of the danger of working in that particular mall and my mom praying over me saying, you need to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I wouldn't have quit, check this out, watch these other dots. And we went through a bunch for 4 years, right? And that's a part of our story. Many folks know we lost 2 cars. Well, when we lose them, they were repossessed. When you lose something, you don't know where to find it. We knew where to find our cars, right? On the parking lot of the financial company where we weren't paying our bills to. Anyway, so
it's okay.
But my point is, all those things happened. But we learned skills throughout that. We built relationships throughout that season.
We learned sacrifice.
Yep. We realized who was in our corner. People when we had nothing.
Made us stronger.
Right. There were certain friends who were still there and we had nothing. We had nothing to offer them.
Yes. Except
friendship.
Yep.
Right. So all of that whole nucleus was built there.
Wow.
So that when we became successful, I just don't know if we'd be where we are today with all those. Well, first of all, we wouldn't be together unless we found each other somewhere else besides the mall. I wouldn't have quit my job, which forced me to look into entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. The only reason I started looking for entrepreneurship or looking at ways to build a business outside of a 9-to-5 was simply because I quit my job.
Right. Could have still, because you were doing great there. You were a manager. Right. Yeah. You could have maybe made it to upper management.
Yeah.
So that was... Did that sound
that
good?
That just sounds funny.
No, baby. I was proud of you.
You could have made it to upper management. That just sounds funny. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So all I'm saying... But
I get your point. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, none of those things happened to me. They all happened for me.
For me. Mm-hmm.
And so now, whenever I'm delayed, I can't find my keys, I'm thinking, hey, I'm being delayed because that accident wasn't for me.
And our whole household operates like that now because that's how we think.
Yeah.
When we're running late or something doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
Can you believe this person said they were going to come and they didn't come?
Yeah.
But this person did come. And you would have never met that person if the original plan went through.
So many stories just like that.
Oh, you do have a lot of stories.
Yeah, a lot of stories just like that. And just recently, I'm going to tell one more story, and then we're going to close out this episode with one important piece I want to mention. So let's go out to our sponsors first, because I really appreciate all of our sponsors for this self-talk experience. Let's go out to our sponsors. Hey, what's up, fam? You got to connect with J&E Builders. They buy homes in any condition. J&E Builders even help out with distressed properties. And if you're dealing with a significant amount of taxes, J&E Builders will assist you with that home as well. Give them a hit at J&E_builders. That's at Instagram at J&E_builders.
Hey family, make sure you're following my girl Brianna on Instagram at Belux Boutique, or to shop for date night or just lounging in the house. She has everything you need. As you can see, go to her website, belux.shop, and get you some great pieces today.
So author and trainer Monte Sanders has been in this health and wellness space for over 20 years. His most notable clients are NFL Hall of Famers Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. And guess what? He's got an Amazon best-selling book that you can gain access to right now. It's The Power of You versus You. I'm going to tell you right now how you can get access to that and his other programs. All you have to do is go to thepowerofyouversusyou.com. That's it. Thepowerofyouversusyou.com to get access to that amazing book, as well as all of his other programs. All right, guys. So we're talking about what happens for you and not to you.
Yes. You had another story.
I have one more story.
Yes.
So I have a lot of stories, but I'll share one more.
Okay.
So our youngest, we have 3 boys and a girl. Our daughter is the youngest, and she's at her sophomore year in school. And I remember just 2 months ago, was that when it was?
A couple months
just
ago.
a couple of months ago. We went to make sure that everything was straight with her housing, check her in. And she got a notice the day we were there. This is not in our own state, by the way. So we had to actually go states away.
Right.
And while we're there, we get a message, or she got a message and said that the housing wasn't going to go through, right?
She got a notice that said we didn't pay the deposit that we were supposed to pay. So she didn't have housing.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we got to figure out, okay, we had to go get an apartment like right now. Like what's going to happen? And if she gets an apartment, her car is here, not there. How's she going to get back and forth and eat with the meal plan? It was just a lot happening right there. But guess what we do? Self-talk. I'm like, hey, listen, everything's going to be good because this is happening for us, not to us.
Yes.
And so many good things have come from that. But one thing that I can remember is being there with the administration, and the administration saying, hey, look, no worries. A lot of people missed that email that came out that gave instruction on how the deposit needed to be made.
Yes, there were so many young ladies that had the same exact problem.
Yeah. And so they said, no problem. You just have to pay the $10,000 right now, and she can get into housing. And so Milan is sitting right there, our daughter. And so I said, okay, good. So if we pay the $10,000 right now and everything, because her courses had been canceled. Like she had to try to get her classes back.
Everything had been wiped out of the system.
Yeah. So I was like, so we paid the $10,000 right now, we're good. And they were like, yeah. So I was like, great, here you go. And I remember Milan's face because, you know, we've done well since she was born. Right. And we've sent her on missions trips. And we always wanted her to know just because she has more doesn't make her better than anybody else. And so we've been very careful with, you know, how we raise her.
Absolutely.
But at this moment, she looked at me in a way that I had not seen her look at me in terms of, I think, the gratefulness and appreciation of, wow, not everybody can do this. Because there were some folks who were really in a bad situation. I'll just say that. Like, what were we going to do?
Right.
And she was like, Dad, thank you so much for handling this. I was like, come on, babe. You're welcome. You deserve it. You earned it. You worked hard to be accepted to this school. And apologize that we had the confusion, but everything worked out. And I knew at that moment the why, right? Because we all have this why. what would hurt you, what would help you, WHY. And what would hurt me is for my daughter or any of my kids, anyone that I love, to deserve, to qualify to go to a school and me not be able to afford it. And would have to say, baby, I know you worked hard. I know you did everything you need to do. And Dad's sorry.
Yeah, so it all goes back to, why did my dad buy me this sweatsuit that's not the name brand that I wanted?
Yeah.
Why did my mom make me join the junior usher board? Why did I get in that fight? Why did I have to quit my job? Why do we have to struggle all these years and figure everything out? It was for that moment, right?
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of connecting the dots.
Yeah.
All the dots connected to make sense. And the crazy thing is, when we're talking about this, usually when you do the connect the dots, the game or the puzzle, you finish and you have a picture.
Yeah.
But in our lives, we are on a journey, and our picture is still always moving, right? It's always changing. And you're kind of like, oh, I think it's going to be a heart. Right. No, now it's kind of looking like a star.
That's so good.
Now it's not looking too good. Well,
that's so true.
So you never really know what is your picture really supposed to look like, because it's ever changing.
Right.
And the picture that you want may not be the picture you're going to get, because you deserve better.
Ooh. Say that again.
The picture that you want, that you think is what you want, is not really what's best for you, because there's better for you. And you have to be open, though.
Yeah. So you're thinking, oh, man, this is good. But then there's greater.
There's greater.
That's good.
There's greater.
That's good. Because I thought, all that happened because I was supposed to meet you. And then I thought, all that happened because I was supposed to quit my job to become an entrepreneur. Then I thought all that happened because I was supposed to become an entrepreneur, but to pay for Milan's tuition. Oh, but all that, like you said, it keeps.
Oh, but guess what? Guess what I just thought about?
What?
So we're talking about you connecting your dots, but that moment for you and Milan was a dot for both of you guys. So that dot, no, listen, am I getting too deep?
No, this is good.
That dot was also part of Milan's
Yeah.
picture. That's a whole different picture that's branching off from your picture.
How many other people's dots have we helped to connect?
Oh, this is
And
getting...
how many people now watching this, listening to this podcast, have just said, this is a dot for me?
We could be a dot for someone.
Oh my gosh, I'm so humbled. I hope we're a dot for you. All right, we got to end. Listen, thank you all for joining another episode. I hope you connect the dots. And don't forget, the one that you think that you have accomplished and completed, that whole connect the dot game, Tracy Self, T Self just said it, may not be the one that you actually are supposed to have, because God has something better for you, girl.
That could be another episode. Good to great. What you think?
Let's do it. Good, from good to great.
Good to great.
Good to great.
See you
all right,
next
guys.
time,
Take care.
guys.
We'll shoot it out to our sponsors. See you on the next episode. If you've ever started something and said to yourself, I'm not quitting until I reach the finish line, there's a perfect podcast for you. The We Won't Quit podcast by my man, Mike Humes, mailman to millionaire, never gave up. Not only did he have success, but he's helped a ton of other people do the same thing. He's going to be interviewing people who never stopped until they finished. So check it out. We Won't Quit podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.